It looks like we're live. So excited to come on. I just had a quick dance practice and something huge came through. And one of the things that I feel really the universe can come in during my dance practice and, bring some nice humor in, is often the way where I'm just like, really? And I'm just laughing because it's hilarious when we realize just some aspects of divine truth when they come in, and it's so obvious, right? It's so obvious when it comes through and you're like, how did I not see this before? How did I not acknowledge this before? How did I not understand this before? And it's not the humor of mockery, it's just the humor of, yeah, baby, we've got you. And so really what was coming through today was just this, intense divine connection. So, some of you probably know this already. Like, this year has really been so profound, in my own life, in the life of my loved ones and some friends and close friends. Like, death medicine has been a huge portal of activation and initiation for a lot of us. And I also believe like this is really the thing that we are being placed face to face on a collective level, right? With the occurrences of what is happening in the world. We are actually being invited into the space of the death medicine, at various stages and various levels. Maybe we won't have, lost someone in our direct circuit, but we might, visit and revisit the portal of death medicine in certain levels. And, of course, the whole grief was pouring through, over these past few weeks and, various stages for me personally, where I really, just had to hold space for the sadness and the grief to come in. But today, I just had this huge, surge of joy coming through. And that joy was really connected with this divine wisdom that I'm going to be sharing with you. Where to the point where I was like, what is this about? Like, why am I suddenly feeling this uplift and this, liberation, this ease suddenly pouring through when I know that these loved ones in our family have passed, and loved ones in my close friends' family have passed, and this breaking open to love where only joy resides. That's really what was coming through today in my dance practice. And what very quickly came on was this huge power and strength and this rooting energy, coming through my body and literally locking me in exactly where I am, right? Like really locking me into the present moment and, placing me face to face with all the things that I've lived in my life and all the things that, have come into being, into creation in my life over these past 5 to 10 years. And I was just calling, because in my dance ritual, I often call into the spirits of the different orientations, so the spirits of the east, the west, the north, and the south, and I, call different archangels and different spirits in. And what was really coming through here was the lineage of ancestry that has been present for me in all this time, where it literally just hit me so hard, with love, this rooted, grounded, pillar of light and energy, like, coming in and going, if you really thought that all the things that you have accomplished, you've accomplished on your own, you have been fooled by this reality. You actually have been fooled. There is a level of energetic frequency that is available to you, and it has always been available to you, but you've just chosen to unplug yourself from it. And so with this divine practice of dance and coming back into my body and coming back into, really liberating the energetic space that, that I allowed to come in, came this huge release and this huge, portal of, hey, you haven't been doing this alone all this time. And it literally hit me like, yeah, so deep, where not only did I see that all the ancestors of my own direct, family lineage were, have been supporting me, but all the different fields that I have been touching, in my life, whether it's, the dance field, the creation field, the singing field, the acting field, the writer's field, so many things, like the modeling, the creating of visual art, creating, like all the different creative lineage that I have touched upon because I have activated myself on these levels, start have been supporting me. There's been an ancestral lineage in the dancer field. It has been an ancestral lineage in the singing field, in the photography field, in the modeling field, in all the things that I have birthed into this life. Like like all the things that I'm creating, I've created them thanks to this ancestral lineage that has been holding space for me. And I just didn't understand how deep this was running, um, you know, until today, where I really I actually felt it. It wasn't just, oh yeah, this could be actually active. No, it's like I felt it. I know it's there, and I know how to call it in, and I can allow it to support me and to support all the things that I've been, wanting to birth into the world, right? Continuously birth into the world. And so truly, it's where, the rubber met the road, where I understood that even though these beings, who are so close to my heart, have transcended this physical space reality, they are still active, highly active and highly busy on this energetic field system. And that I can call them in, I can literally allow them in, I can summon them into the space, I can allow them to come in right here, right now, and continuously guide my journey. And this summoning of these energy principles, when we actually summon them with, this love frequency, when we tie the love frequency in, when we tie this feminine grace in, where we are actually surrendered and open, right? We are allowing, the opening to occur on this energetic level. What comes through is that there's a frequency that enters your body and your stream of consciousness that isn't just of this energetic frequency. It actually comes in as an embodiment frequency where you actually feel the difference. And so what I was seeing here wasn't just, my ancestral lineage suddenly like showing up like a force field. I was seeing all these different ancestral lineages of all the different arts that I have been touching upon, like all the different creation processes that I have been touching upon. And on top of this, to feel the ancestral lineages of the actual geographical location where I'm in, right? So as you know, some of you might know this, if you're new in my field, I love traveling. I love traveling. I've been traveling, pretty much since I was 17. I've been traveling, on my own, different locations and all of it. And it just hit me, that now being back in Luxembourg, being back at my, I will call it my home base, even though I wasn't born here. I was born in Portugal. But I grew up here in Luxembourg, and coming back to, Luxembourg, especially this past year, I've been going back and forth also due to work. I've been, visiting various geographical locations on the planet, and always coming back to this, this country, which is actually, when you go to Luxembourg City, it's actually built on a fortress, an ancient fortress. So there's so much history here. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I have never understood that, the fact that I'm actually traveling to these geographical locations, I can plug into the ancestral stream of success, of life, of love, of divine union, of, people actually who have lived in this geographical place in the past. We can plug into them in order to support our to support our life, right? And so with that came this wisdom and this knowledge and this understanding that I have never been doing this alone. There's been all these energetic frequencies that have been, creating this portal of protection and divine guidance, who have also then led me into the portals of divine guidance of actual physical people in this planet, where I've met, teachers who were able to guide me to my next step. I've met mentors, I've worked with coaches, I've worked with healers, I've worked with all these different light beings and people in this actual physical reality who were capable of demonstrating to me how to open certain gateways and portals in this physical reality. And then I realized that not only have I been, summoning this subconsciously, but this is all, it's all been laid into my field, right? And so oh, Sarah, thank you so much. Sorry, I haven't, when I'm channeling, I just go into my frenzy. So please do not take it, personally if I don't respond to your comments right away. I will come to your comment. If you have questions, if something, pops up for you, please feel free to just drop it in the comments. I will, swing back around towards, like in a little bit. But yeah, so one of the main pieces that I really, understood was that this belief and this psychological brainwash, because really this is what it is, right? Like when we go to school, when we have all these educational conditionings that we go into through society, through our parents, through the people who surround us, because that's just where we are in this third dimensional space, it's actually I've lost my thread. No, I'm coming back. It's coming back. So what I wanted to say is that when we actually believe that we are alone leading this game of life, that we are the only ones on who this like this decision making falls back into, it's a fooling of your brains, my loves. Like, you have been fooled to believe that you are the only motor in your life creating your life's masterpiece. There's all these beings and light beings and actual physical beings on this planet right here, right now, who are, guiding and channeling your becoming into being. And so there's one rule, and one of the laws in the universal field is, it's connected with your free will, right? So if in your belief system you're holding this structure that, your success, your love, your relationships, your business, all the things that you're doing are dependent on you and you're doing alone, and if you hold on to this, you're actually clogging the system of, you're clogging your feminine energetic blueprint of receptivity on that game and on that level. And the truth is, when we actually elevate to that space, when we really go into, that level and that field, and we touch it and we plug into it and we understand, not only with our conscious mind, but with our subconscious, where our body, goes online with the same frequency, that there is a system in place already holding whatever it is that you're wanting to create in this life right here, right now, and that you're open and receptive for it, it's much more likely that this system is going to come in and really support you 3,000-fold, right? Because your free will and your belief and your rigidity with how you hold that structure can actually get in the way. And it's definitely, come in the way for me for many years, on one level because I simply didn't know. I had no idea that this was a thing, right? I didn't know that it was a thing that my ancestors could somehow support my journey. Like, how, right? And one of the biggest initiations I had was when I was tripping around the world, and I was channeling my grandfather, at multiple stages during the journey, where I was just doing automatic writing because I was doing a lot of journaling while I was doing my world trip. And sometimes while I was journaling, I would suddenly feel this energy shift, and I continued writing, and as I was writing, I suddenly realized I had just written a letter to myself from my grandfather. So many of these things occurred to me. I also had an aunt that I was channeling. She usually would come in and she would speak through me, so I would just take my phone and record myself, and then I would re-listen to the channeled message, and it would somehow help me to open up to something new that was coming in. So this open-mindedness that I had to have, it's like it actually came in like without me even knowing this could be a thing, that it could really be real. Like, I mean, I knew that there were people who were plugging into ancestors, into light beings, into ascended masters, but I had never seen it unfold in my own life. I had never seen how this could actually work and be effective in my own life. And so now that this is just a new reality, this is just my new normal, this is how I operate, I know that this is a potential and a possibility. But what really came in today for me specifically was this understanding that all of this is the same force field, right? All of this is actually the same force field where you are tapping into your divine connection with your soul, and that there's all these different layers that are supporting that. And when you say yes to your dream, and you say yes and you run for it, and you know that you're being supported, and you trust that you're going to be held on the other side, right, of your decision of jumping and leaping without even having seen anything yet, it's become, this, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize that there was this force field of the geographical place that I could plug into. And I suddenly started to receive all these light codes and these activations. And, dance for me is one of the most powerful tools, because it really, especially when you're doing it in this conscious way, where you have the blueprint laid out, right? When you know that your movement is actually casting ripple effects out in the cosmos, and what is going through your mind, what is going through your emotions, what is going through your physical body in that moment in time is actually creating a signal, an electromagnetic signal. You have to imagine it as being, you're just creating this radio frequency that's being emanated out in the cosmos, and it's going to bump up against all these different particles and quantum spheres, if you will, that have the answer for you, right? And then they will come back, and you receive the signal through your conscious mind. And that's how you can actually use dance as a channeling modality, and how to plug into your own soul's divine blueprint, right? And of course, if you want to know more about this, I have classes on this, I work with clients on this. But this is just, the very basic. This is something that has been laid into our field since birth. Like, you can dance. Even if you're not a dancer, you can use that. You can use dance as this frequency of purifying your physical body, like, surrendering to your physical body in this physical moment, in this present moment, right here, right now. And utilize the energy that you're putting into motion in order to receive, right? So it's like, really what I'm sensing is, when I go into dance practice, I just go into dance practice for dance's sake. I don't go into it for, I want to channel about this. Like, sometimes I will do it, but I don't think that that's the most effective way to use the tool, because our ego can very quickly get in the way, especially if you're starting, right? But what occurs is that, regardless of your advancement in dance, like, you don't need to be a technical dancer, you don't need to know anything about dance. You can use this is your birthright to use. It's your birthright to use your own physical body as a frequency tool to emit energetic signals out in the cosmos, and actually retrieve information from the cosmic field, from the Akashic records, from the ancestral lineage, from the things that are actually in space right here, right now, accessible right here to you in your physical body. Like, you have the tool that you were born with, this temple of divine wisdom, right? And it would almost be a blasphemy not to use it, right? Because it's your divine temple space that you carry this vessel from the moment you were born until you go again, until you part ways with it. And so it takes a lot of initiation, and releasing the ego mind, and understanding that you are so much more than just this physical body, right? And so one of the things that really came in with this death medicine for me this year was when my grandmother passed away in February. And I was really receiving her I could feel her energetic blueprint coming to visit me. And really guiding and gently, coaxing the creations forth that I needed to go through, and to really feel this field of protection around me, to feel that I'm not doing this on my own, right? And so truly, when she passed away, it was such a huge release in terms of the physical field, because when somebody transcends and they leave this plane and they leave their physical body, um it's it's very deep. It's a primal instinct that kicks in when yeah, it's a primal instinct that kicks in, right? And the primal instinct is usually what brings, the survival instinct with it as well. Like, we don't want to part ways with someone on this physical plane. It feels very disconcerting and very, yeah, like it can feel painful, right? And the pain and the grief that come with it is actually just that, there's a transcendence of this energetic blueprint. There's this change, there's a transition. And as we move through this transition and we go into, a new field where this person is no longer here in this physical plane, but has somewhat transcended. The spirit has transcended. The consciousness blueprint has transcended. And so we have to, reiterate and realign this physical constellation without this physical being in place. And when we actually make space for this energetic transition, and we simply understand that they've gone back into the soup of consciousness, right? They've gone back to this cosmic web, and that the frequency of their soul and the frequency of their spirit is still active in another plane here. We can actually go engage information and source information from these souls, who actually are returning to this pure love consciousness. And this pure love consciousness actually comes back in to help and align our life with higher levels of love. And so truly, that's where I see grief. Grief still is the process of, this physical transition, and it leaves this gap, this hole, right, in our physical sense, so that we can allow a new energetic system into the field. And so the reason why I really share this with you today as well is because I truly believe that when we really make space for these ancestral lines of souls to, support our life with this divine love consciousness, I feel like that's really when our life gains this momentum and this frequency of vibrating at higher stages of love, right? When we allow, the pain and the grief to light up the flame of divine love inside us, it creates this expansive experience where, we no longer are just able to receive love at the highest frequency, but we're also, capable of receiving compassion for pain and suffering and, sadness and all the things that create discord, because we actually have almost like a new tool available to us that can alchemize pain, that can alchemize grief, that can alchemize, these situations where discord has been created in our physical reality, and we can bring that in as divine frequency of love. And truly, like, what would it change if you knew that every single step on your journey, every single breath you take, every single decision that you make, and if you just allow all of these things to rest in the loving hands and the loving arms and the loving support system that is already available to you now through your ancestral lineage, through the different creatives lineage that you have touched upon in your life, or even through your geographical lineage. Like, who were the people who were pioneers at, transmuting and alchemizing this physical plane into higher levels of love, and you can actually call that in. And so what I did, after this in this dance practice was I was just receiving these light codes and just receiving, when I say light codes, these are actual, frequency programs that are available in the cosmos, and you can call them in to be located, within your own energetic field, so that they are available to you at, they're literally at your fingertips. You don't have to do huge amounts of work, and you don't have to go through huge amounts, like huge numbers of hours of meditation in order to transcend into that plane. These can be instant. And when you're actually moving those light codes, literally physically moving in dance, you're moving with those light codes, you're allowing them to settle and to sink into your energetic field, and you're receiving them, you're accepting them, you're acknowledging them, and you're receiving them with deep gratitude and compassion and love. It's like it changes your actual physical experience on this plane. And truly, I hope that you'll have a little go at this, you'll have a little practice with this and see how this resonates with you. But this is so huge. It's so huge when we actually allow that we are not the ones doing everything. There's a huge force in action. There's a huge power that we can, plug into, and we can source this divine love and this divine alignment and this divine wisdom and let it support us, so that we can really become the highest versions of ourselves. We can become and create art. We can make art of our lives at the highest frequency possible. So yeah, let me know how this lands for you. And thank you so much, Sarah. I'm so happy that this feels heartwarming to you. If you have any questions, if you're curious about specific blueprints, if you've maybe tried this and you're coming back to re-listen and you're like, okay, Lizzie, I tried this, but how do I do this and this and this? Please feel free to drop your questions in the video, and I'll swing back around to them and maybe create another live. Like, I really believe like this is available for us at any given moment in our life. Like, we don't have to be spiritual masters. We don't have to be dance artists. We don't have to be anything, what we deem so special in this physical plane. This is actually naturally available to us at higher and higher frequencies. And it's just the mastery comes through practice, right? And it's when you have this wisdom, when you know that this is available for you, then you can just play with it. You can keep weaving it into your practices, into your daily life, and you can keep mastering this for the rest of your life. It's just this one piece of wisdom can literally change your life around, right? And actually giving you the experience of walking in this life as a human in a completely different way. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for continuously watching my videos and, posting your comments under my photos and all the things that I'm putting out in the world. I feel deeply grateful that I get to share this with you, and that it, that it lands this way, that it lands in such a way where you actually feel it. Like, that's truly my biggest gift. And so I'm very, very grateful for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I wish you a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. Sending you tons and tons of love. I'll see you soon.